everybody. It is Caitlin, and I am here at Franklin Park Zoo today, and welcome to today's live Zoo to You. We have Nora behind the camera who's going to be helping me with information and questions. So we are currently in the children's zoo. So if you have seen some of the other Zoo to Yous that have been happening, this is where the red pandas and our turtles are. So as we walk in to our aviary, we'll get a chance to see if we can see our turtles on the way. But before we go in, we're going to be looking at our wetland aviary today. And that is behind us, and we're going to be going inside of it to see our birds. But before we do so, I wanted to take a look at our wetland signs over here. So wetlands are really important, and they house a lot of different animals. So if you look down here, we have a couple different reasons of why wetlands are so important. We have life-saving rest stops for those migrating birds. It's a time for them to be able to stop, get water, get food and rest before carrying on. We have nature's nurseries. Lots of different animals will lay their eggs that are going to hatch in wetlands. Natural filters, and also storm protectors. So wetlands are very, very important for our ecosystems and many of the animals that live there. So all of our birds in here, we're gonna take a look at and be able to look at the different types of species that are there. So let's head on in. We'll take a quick peek as we go over. We can see if we can get a glimpse of our Blanding's turtle, who's also a wetland species. He must be hiding right now. I don't see him in the water. Well, we're gonna come through here. We have a two-door system because the birds in here, we want to keep them in here nice and safe. So we make sure that one shuts before, and then we come through. And we also have this special fun to come through as well. So the first bird that we're going to take a look at is our hooded cranes. So they're over here right in the corner, and Nora's going to get a little bit of a closer look at them. So we have one straight ahead there. And then there's one that's kind of towards the side. We'll get a look at that one in just a minute. So these are our hooded cranes, Ping and Pong. So they are our 3-year-old cranes here at the zoo. And we do have many different species of cranes here between Franklin Park Zoo and Stone Zoo. And the hooded crane is the one on the smaller side. They are about 3 feet in height, and some of our other cranes are a little bit taller than that. So I really enjoy these cranes here. We'll come around the side to see if we can see their little kind of dancing movements over here. That's a better angle of them. You can see their interesting movements coming over for a drink. So these cranes, I really love these two because they're closest to our office, honestly, and we get to see them a lot. They're close to our main building here, and they tend to be really curious of everyone walking by and noticing what they're doing. So I always enjoy that. And you can see why they're called a hooded crane. If you look at that white hood, they came right over for us, which is awesome. So that white hood over down to kind of mid-neck there. And when these cranes are younger, it takes a few years for that to really be distinguished. They can kind of have a more brownish, kind of brown and black speckles in there until that fully comes in. So these cranes, they have breeding sites in Russia and northern China. And they're non-breeding flocks in Russia, Mongolia, China border there. So they can be found in those two places, but they have a very, very remote habitat. And that's actually why a lot was not learned about these cranes until later on, until the 1970s, because it's really challenging to get into their habitat and environment. So it took researchers and conservationists a long time to learn more about this species. They are a vulnerable species, so their numbers are decreasing. So they do want to help to try to protect their habitat. One way that they are doing that, especially with migrating birds, is that they have feed stops for them. So it's giving them some food along the way. So what they'll eat outside of those feed stops is aquatic plants, berries, seeds, insects, and amphibians. So they eat a whole variety of different foods. And here at the zoo, they get different grains, corn, fish, and meat. So they get a whole variety here too. And Nora's bringing us over to see one of the pans in here. They have some grain, and you can see some leafy greens in there too. A couple different grains that you can see. There's kind of a darker one and a lighter one. And those are specific bird grains to give them all of the nutrients and minerals that they need for the type of eater that they are. These cranes are omnivores. So it looks like that's what's left over, because typically the meat and the fish that they get is what they want right away. So that tends to go, and then this is kind of what is left for them to snack on throughout the rest of the day. So cranes are also known for their elaborate breeding displays, and the hooded cranes are included in this. They will dance around showing different displays using their wings to show and get ready for breeding. So they'll also make different calls and sounds as well. They're being pretty quiet right now, but they can be pretty loud, including the other cranes at our zoo can be pretty vocal in marking their territory, but also in communication with each other. So since these cranes do mate for life, they take a long time to build that bond. So Ping and Pong are 3 years old, so they are right at breeding age. Ooh, we have a fast duck coming in here.
Oh my goodness.
They are at breeding age, but because they're still forming their bond together, it might be a little bit longer before they decide to reproduce and have baby cranes. So something we've mentioned in a couple of our videos, our Facebook Lives, are our species survival plans. And that's something that these cranes are on as well. So Ping and Pong were both from other institutions, and they were a good genetic match. So they were both recommended to come here to Franklin Park Zoo to be a breeding pair here, so that hopefully we'll have young hooded cranes, and depending on when they do decide to breed, at that point they'll decide if that chick should go on to another zoo or if they'll stay here. That kind of depends on the species on the species survival coordinator of that species. We have someone chiming in over here, making a little bit of noise. So that is a perfect cue for us to move on to our other birds. I guess they were ready. They wanted their time in the spotlight. So that one that was just making noise, you can hopefully see pretty clearly straight ahead there, that is the red-breasted goose. And we have a few. You can kind of see them along the edge there. And they have another feeding dish over there, and they also have a hut with some hay in there, and that's a spot for them to be able to find shelter and sleep. Today, it's a beautiful day here at the zoo. So if we look over here a little bit, you can see some of our other ducks that are in the water, swimming around, getting some sun. We also, of course, have some that are sleeping at this moment over on the bank over here, taking a little bit of a rest. So we have a variety of species in this exhibit, and some of them are Asian species, such as our cranes that we were just talking about, as well as some other ducks. We do also have North American species in here and one South American species. So if you look over at this sheet for 1 second, this is what the zookeepers use to be able to keep track of all of the species that are in here. And every morning when the keepers come in, they check off seeing every single individual. Because when we have such a large group of birds in here, they need to make sure that everyone is doing well and healthy. And if they see any issues with them, then they're gonna bring that to their supervisor's attention. So this is actually the one for today, where they came in and they marked off all of the birds that they saw today, making sure that everyone was healthy, they found everyone, and then that's when they put all of their food in. So let's see which ones we can find. So right here, I don't know if you can see well in the darkness there, but that is one of our shovelers. So this is a northern shoveler, and that is a North American species. So that is one that those local folks that are watching would be able to see in any of our wetlands in this area. Ooh. So let's see if we can find a couple other of our North American birds so that you guys can know which ones you might be able to see. So the other is a bufflehead. He's a little bit further over there, if you can get that, Nora. He's coming into the water now. So that is our bufflehead. And that one's a male. And what you'll find with many species of duck is the males are typically brightly colored and the females are a little bit of a duller color. So I don't see the female bufflehead at the moment. Oh, she's right there on the log actually. So if you can see, the female is a little bit of a duller color, and it's hard because her head's turned. You can't necessarily see those features on her face, but they do tend to still match some of the markings of the male, but they're a little bit duller in color. So we see both the buffleheads there, and then we saw our shoveler. I'm trying to find out where our hooded merganser is, but I don't see him at the moment. So let's see. Let's move on because I see him in the water here. Our Baikal teal right here, straight ahead in the water. And that one is one of the Asian species.
Caitlin, we got a question of how do these birds survive the winter?
That is a really good question. So depending on the areas that they're from, since we're talking about a few different ones here, when it usually comes into the winter months, birds can do a couple different things. It can be a species that either migrates, how we talked about with the hooded cranes. They're going to migrate to a spot that's usually their breeding location as well. And that climate is usually a little bit different, where they're able to find food and be able to have a little bit more warmth. There are some species though that are able to have down feathers, so it's able to grow in some warmer feathers for the winter months to be able to keep themselves nice and warm. So they're either going to need to adapt to where they are with those feathers, or they're going to be able to migrate to another area where the resources are going to be a little bit more abundant for them. That was a really great question. Do we have some other questions?
Jennifer Jensen also asks, how many different species of birds are in this aviary?
Well, Jen, that is a great question. So on this little sheet here, we can look really quickly. There's about 9 species in here. The one that we didn't see, that's a good question, and I'm glad we have this sheet because we probably won't see her. If you can see right in there, we have a tragopan. And it's almost hard to see her in that because she is very camouflaged. She usually spends her time further in the corner over there. She kind of likes to find a place to hide. And so she typically is one that's more out of the water, whereas the rest of our ducks are usually swimming all around in here. But about 9 species in this exhibit. That's a great question. Do we have any other questions?
We also have a question from Katie. Do you have a favorite exhibit at the zoo?
Thank you, Katie. That is a great question. That is really tough though. There are so many great exhibits. But one of my favorites is probably the red panda, just because I love how they can get really, really high up in their bamboo, and you can see them all the way up there, and it's really cool to see them and their amazing climbing skills.
Awesome.
All right, well, thank you all so much for joining us today and meeting our ducks and our cranes in our wetland aviary. We really hope to be seeing everyone soon as certain places start to reopen. And please keep tuning in to our live Zoo to You every day. We appreciate everyone's support. Bye, happy Tuesday.